Hello, beautiful people. It's been a long time, but I am back with a new video on conjugation number 2. We know that there are 4 in total, and this video will basically close this entire conjugation, and it will be about the exceptions that exist within this conjugation number 2 out of the 4 in total. We know that in conjugation number 2, we've seen 3 groups with 3 different endings, okay? And we can see them on the screen right now. So a quick recap, that was the group 1, 10 endings in each edge, and we recognized this group by these preceding letters marked in red, whereas group 2 was recognized by these red letters preceding the endings, which were exactly the same like in group 1, whereas group 3 had a different ending of each edge, and here we had a lot of different endings to be able to recognize this group. They're all marked here in red, but the easy trick with this group was to remember that they are always connected to the special Polish double letters.
Nice.
Or the special Polish letter Z. Okay, and that's the trick to remember this group. So we know that there are exceptions in this conjugation number 2, and what the exceptions are, there are really stem changes, okay? Which means that the actual verb endings remain the same. And these stem changes happen if the following letters are present in the infinitive of the verb. So as you can see, they are quite the Polish letters, okay? So we have she, which is a double letter, zi, double letter, ci, and again another double letter, dzi, a Polish triple letter, the only triple letter we have, li, ści, zdzi, mni. So to recap, the following letters must be present in the infinitive: si, zi, ci, dzi, li, ści, zdzi, mni. Okay? And these changes happen in the first person singular, I, ja, and the third person plural, they, oni. Each letters marked in red will change to the following on the right hand side. So the she changes to sh, zi changes to zh, ci changes to c. So basically it just drops the I letter. G changes to Z. Again, drops the I letter. Li changes to L. Drops the I. Ści changes to Szczy. Zdzi changes to Zdzy. Mni drops the I and becomes Mny. So all these letters that I've marked here in purple, these are the ones that drop the letter, and the actual changes happen in all of the persons. So because the letter is dropped and not actually changed, like in the other ones, the actual change happens in all of the letters. But as usual, everything makes much more sense when it is seen in context. So we will look now at all of the verbs and examples for each of these exceptions. We will start with si, that changes to sz. PROSIĆ, which is to ask, to beg, to request. What do? We do exactly the same thing as we've seen in all of the previous videos on the verb conjugations. We remove the ci letter of the infinitive. We are left with prosi, and this prosi will take the adjunct verb endings, okay? Because as we remember, the actual stem change only happens in the first person singular and the third person plural. And that's why we have basically like 2 stems of prosi and prosz. And that's when we add the verb endings that we see on the screen as well. We do have to remember that there is no doubling of vowels in Polish language. So whenever we see I letter and it should be beside another I letter, it's just going to be a singular I letter. Okay, and that's how the actual final verb looks. Ja proszę, proszę, ty prosisz, Sisz. On, ona, ono prosi. Prosi. My prosimy. Prosimy. Wy prosicie. Prosicie. Oni, one proszą. Proszą. So as you can see, the only stem change happens in the first person singular and the third person plural. That's where we see the sh instead of she. All the other persons keep the normal stem, okay? And they also add the normal verb endings that we've seen so far here marked in red. And because there is no doubling of vowels in Polish language, we only see on the screen one letter I and not two letter I's, okay? Let's look at another verb for the same exception. Si to szy. The verb nosić, nosić, to wear or to carry. So we will remove the actual letter of the infinitive ci. We are left with nosi, and that nosi will take its adequate endings for all the persons except the first person singular and the third person plural, which will experience this stem change to nosz, and then they will take the verb endings as well. So following this rule, the final verb sounds like this. Ja noszę, noszę. Ty nosisz, nosisz. On, ona, ono nosi, nosi. My nosimy, nosimy. Wy nosicie, nosicie. Oni, one noszą, noszą. Now we will look at the stem changes of zi to ż. Okay, so zi is this double letter, Polish double letter that is a soft long sound, zi, and ż is this Polish letter that is a short, sharp sound, okay? So the verb that I've chosen for you is grozić, to threaten. We remove the last letter of the infinitive, letter ci, and we are left with grozi. And grozi will take the adequate verb endings, but the first person singular and the third person plural will experience the stem change from zi to ży, and then they will take the adequate verb endings. So the final verb looks like this. Ja grożę, grożę. Ty grozisz, grozisz. On, ona, ono grozi, grozi. My grozimy, grozimy. Wy grozicie, grozicie. Oni, one grożą, grożą. Again, there is no doubling of the vowels in Polish, so that's why we have only one letter I. Another example of a verb from this group is wozić, to carry or to transport something, okay? So what happens? The same thing that we've seen in the previous examples. So we remove the ci of the infinitive and the first person singular, ja, and the third person plural, oni, one, will experience this stem change where from zi to ż, whereas all the other persons will remain the same and they will take the adequate verb endings. So the final verb looks like this. Ja wożę, wożę. Ty wozisz, wozisz. On, ona, ono wozi, wozi. My wozimy, wozimy. Wy wozicie, wozicie. Oni, one wożą, wożą. Another verb, this time from a different stem change, from ści to szczy. So the verb I've chosen is mścić się, to revenge someone or on someone. So it's a reflexive verb as well, because we can see the reflexive pronoun się. And we will do the same thing as always, okay? So, with reflexive pronoun, we just know that after the conjugated verb, we add this reflexive pronoun się. But before that, we have to conjugate the verb. So we will remove the ci of the infinitive. We are left with a stem of mści. And then we will add the adequate verb endings. But the first person singular and the third person plural will experience this stem change from ści to szczy. And the final verb will look like this. Ja mszczę. Mszczę. Ty mścisz. Mścisz. On, ona, ono mści. Mści. My mścimy. Mścimy. Wy mścicie. Mścicie. Oni, one mszczą. Mszczą. And we add się after all of these persons to make it reflexive. So, another verb of this stem change is złościć się. To get mad, to get angry at someone or something. So, the same thing happens. It is a reflexive verb. So we have the reflexive pronoun that we will add at the end after the conjugated verb. The first person singular and the third person plural will experience the stem change, whereas the other persons will stay the same. So, and after adding the adequate verb endings, the final verb looks like this. Ja złoszczę się. Złoszczę się. Ty złościsz się. Złościsz się. On, ona, ono złości się. Złości się. My złościmy się. Złościmy się. Wy złościcie się. Złościcie się. Oni, one złoszczą się. Złoszczą się. So, I know that so far you might be thinking there is so many verbs and they're so hard to pronounce because there's a lot of specific Polish sounds, okay? We have a lot of double letters, we have a lot of new double sounds like sh, ch, although ch is like chocolate in English, but the combination of sounds might seem a little bit difficult and you might have problems with pronunciation of those. Don't get worried, okay? All you need to do is practice, okay? By practice, you will get used to these new sounds and the way you should pronounce them. So just remember, practice. If you need to rewatch the video, if you need to repeat after me, pause the video and do so, because that's what's going to help you. Another verb, this time from the stem change of zdzi to zdż. What we should notice is actually the zdzi is a soft sound, whereas zdż is a sharp sound, okay? And we do the same thing as always when we will conjugate this verb that I've chosen for you called jeździć, which is to drive, to etc., okay? What do? We take off the infinitive of the letter ci. We are left with jeździ, jeździ. And the first person singular and third person plural will experience the stem change of zdzi to zdż. And the final verb will look like this after we add to all of the persons the adequate stem endings. So, ja jeżdżę, jeżdżę. Ty jeździsz, jeździsz. On, ona, ono jeździ, jeździ. My jeździmy, jeździmy. Wy jeździcie, jeździcie. Oni, one jeżdżą, jeżdżą.